First you have to catch them.
Oh, I can catch
The
it.
three-eyed walleye?
Yeah, the ones that glow, I throw back. I used to swim in that river growing up. Oh, surprised I don't have 3 eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, you probably,
Probably got skin
no, your
cancer.
probably immune system is very good.
It was dirty then.
Well, yeah.
Are we ready?
It's one of the most polluted rivers in the state.
It would appear so.
We'll call the meeting of the Nicollet County Board to order for March 13th and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our March 13th meeting. I want to thank everyone for the birthday well wishes. As I always tell my children, don't celebrate your birthday, celebrate your mother who gave you your birthday.
That's right.
It's your birthday?
Yesterday.
That's why we have donuts.
I thought you were just being nice. Okay.
But he hasn't,
Happy
he
birthday,
won't tell
John.
us how old he
Not
is.
gonna happen.
Oh, boy.
Approval of agenda.
Mr. Chair, I have I would like to put under, the administrator's list, to talk about T21. When the administrator is gonna give his report, I'd like to get into a brief discussion about T21.
All right, we'll put under the informational items.
Yeah, it could be there.
Are you going to address this, Mr. Commissioner?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Any objection to the suggestion? Hearing none, we'll add that. Anything else? We are aware that under Administrator, State of Minnesota, office lease is off for this meeting probably later this month.
Correct.
Okay.
So I approve the agenda as
Amended.
as amended.
So we have a
I'll second
motion and a
that.
second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries, thank you. Introduction of new employees. Do we have any today? I am seeing a lot of employees here, but for another reason, so no new employees today. And I will ask the county attorney, you have another appointment that you need to go to, so will you be here for part of the meeting?
I will be here for part of the meeting, and then Ms. Gaudette Coriel will be coming up and attending the meeting for me. I
All
have to
right.
go to court.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the commissioners to step forward again as we will be in alphabetical order handing out some more continuous and most impactful improvement project awards.
Right, and I'll just add, Mr. Chair, each year for the last few years, we've tried to emphasize the importance of our new mission statement, which is to provide efficient service with innovation and accountability. And part of that, we've implemented a culture of continuous improvements and lean projects. And this year, there was 75 projects, or in 2017, there were 75 projects submitted. And again, I think for the third year in a row, Property and Public Services completed the most projects, and they also this year completed and received the award for the most impactful projects, which was a combination of 4 projects, cross-training in both the license area and assessing area, providing public information on the Beacon site, and also, what am I forgetting, on the buffer law as well. So just regarding the most impactful projects, Jackie, Lorna, and Mandy, do you have any comments to add or to share regarding those projects and the benefit that's provided to your office as far as cross-training and that type of thing?
And please come forward
please
if
come
you
forward.
could.
The first one, since Minlars is our favorite subject, it seems like, Jackie cross-trained her licensed staff which we had never really done before, I don't think, to the extent we
To the
did.
extent that we're at today, our license center and all of our counter functions, even as people have shifted jobs in the office, we've maintained anybody that has that customer service, that front counter, to be able to still assist customers, even if that's not their number one job. Also, with Minlars, we've changed our processes. We've made sure that everybody can process every kind of back office kind of deal for the next day, balancing all those. So we have a bigger pool to help customers at the counter and do the back office processing.
And then in the assessor's office, since Lauren has taken over, she's made an emphasis to cross-train all the staff there. In the past, we've had people kind of designated for certain roles in the assessor's office and what they could assess, and I believe you've now cross-trained folks to cross over from residential, commercial, is that correct?
We did this last year. We trained 2 of our residential appraisers to collect data when they're out in their specific areas on commercial properties. And of course, they won't be able to do, our large industrials. We do have a specialized appraiser for that. But there are many properties that they could certainly collect the data and do the appraisal when they're out in that area. And the first year when you do that cross-training, it's almost more work. But now that we've got that in place, this year when we send our residential appraiser out to Cortland and to Lafayette, they'll be able to gather data on those commercial properties and bring them back to the office to assist with those appraisals, so that our commercial appraiser doesn't have to make a special trip out there. We'll save on staff time and travel time, and my staff has been wonderful about embracing this change and really interested in expanding their knowledge and learning something different. So it's been good for our office.
And the other 2 projects were really public relations or customer service projects. I believe Mandy spearheaded those. One was providing a simple business card, I believe, for folks that had questions on how to use Beacon, which is a very popular site on our website for people that want to see land use information. And then also, another one of our favorite subjects, buffers. We had so many questions with that PPSD really did a good job putting together an informational brochure. I had not seen another one like it in the state, and mailed those out, and either helped solve questions or maybe generated some more, but it was a really good informational piece. So I don't know if you have anything to add.
No,
Mandy?
the buffer brochure, Jackie did a lot of the work putting it all together. We just looked at it and gave her suggestions, but she did a lot of the work, and then Paul helped her create the graphics on it, so it was eye appealing. So that was really nice, and we did get quite a few comments. We haven't heard anything recently about it from residents, but I'm sure there's more to come with another deadline pending. The business cards, just thought it was an easy way to tell people how to use Beacon rather than writing it out on a sticky. We have it on all of our counters. We just pass those out, and so people are actually hopefully using it more now. Now that they know it's available and they know how to get into it, it should be easier.
I have a question for the Beacon. We still restrict being able to use a person's name?
Just by address, right?
You have to have an address or the ID number
Yes.
in order to get access to
Right.
that particular piece of property.
Right.
That's a common practice with that.
So, Jessica and Jamie and I, when we looked at the 75 projects that were submitted, we tried to decide what was the most impactful in terms of meeting our mission statement, providing good customer service, and the overall return on investment. And these efforts, as far as return on investment, took very little cost, but really have created a huge return on the minimal investment. So they received the most impactful award for 2017.
Well, thank you, Mr. Administrator. I appreciate I can't help but notice the leadership that women are bringing to Nicollet County and the cooperation that you folks are forging in your offices. And that is meaningful to me because my wife always reminds me how women should be running the world. And I said, well, just run my house.
We do.
Here are the winners, and thank you so much. I'll call them out alphabetically.
Thank
Deanna Bean,
She's
Marcus Carlson,
vacation.
what's that third one?
Put it in there.
Amanda Drager, Renee Grunsky. Vicky Hagan. Jim. John Hamill.
John, congratulations.
Amanda Harju.
Maternity leave.
Molly Klingerman. Jackie Copit, or like we say back in Montgomery, Copey.
They say up in Canada, okay.
Paula Crook. Mandy Landkammer. Amy Linneruth. Amy's here. Lori Mueller. Bridget Olson. Isn't it fun to watch commissioners do the square dance up front? Peter Otterness. Jennifer Powers. David Runk. Lorna Sandvik. Cecilia Schuler. Melissa Weston. Michelle Wills.
Congratulations.
And Pamela Zimmerman. And on behalf of the county board and the citizens of Nicollet County, we thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
Thank you.
Back to work, right? Got more leaning to do, right?
Right.
Jim evidently worked up a thirst. I was thinking hunger, but
It did kind of look like a square dance.
Well, nobody fell down.
yet.
That's a good sign.
All right, as we await Commissioner Stenson's return, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to
Move
approve?
the consent agenda.
Commissioner Kemp has moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Lipke? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Public Services, Jackie? Oh, wait, I forgot to say, are there any public appearances? Any public appearances? Seeing none, we'll open it up again later if there are. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I just have one item for you today, and it's another resolution, and this one is for Nicollet Township to proceed with mail ballot for the 2018 election. The resolution from the township is in your packet, and also the resolution for the county board to consider for me to notify the Secretary of State.
Move the resolution.
I'll second.
Kemp and Lipke have moved and seconded the resolution. Any questions or concerns from Ms. Copit?
How many townships is that now?
This will be 9,
Out of 13.
right?
Okay.
I have a few more last minute ones at either tonight's meeting, in March would be the deadline for that. Because our deadline is 46 days prior to the next election, and then we have to mail out notices. So May 8th is the deadline for that, so.
And so when the town officers met and discussed this, they discussed it at their meeting, which may or may not have been well attended. They will be informing their residents of this change.
Correct. The first time we are by statute required to mail by May 8th, each resident in that township a notice that they are now a mail ballot precinct.
Okay. It was my understanding there was a change in that board, number of new board members who may or may not have had the expertise in running an election in the past. And that was one of the reasons where they're.
This is for Nicollet Township, and Nicollet Township's
I'm
kind of
sorry, I
stayed
thought
the
it was
same.
Belgrade.
Yeah, Belgrade was maybe a little bit different situation.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I should pay attention to the agenda here.
I was actually talking to a Lafayette Township officer yesterday in town, and he had mixed feelings about it. But I said, well, what about primaries? He says, you're right. We're there all day, and we got 12 votes, and 4 or 5 of them are from the people
Exactly.
there.
Any other discussion, comments, questions to the motion that we have in front of us regarding Nicollet Township? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. Mr. Hamel, you're next. Good timing. Morning.
Morning, sir. I have 3 requests for your consideration today. The first item, the request comes from applicant Buell Consulting and property owner Martin Schott for a conditional use permit to construct a telecommunications tower in the Ag District. The site is located in New Sweden Township. The tower will have a total height of 259 feet and will be able to accommodate 3 cellular phone service providers. The primary service provider will be Verizon Wireless. Along with the tower itself, construction will include an equipment platform, a generator pad, and a security fence. The tower exceeds the required setbacks. No public comments were received, and there is no public testimony at the hearing. After due consideration, the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Mr. Chair, staff seeks a motion to approve the request and the attached findings of facts.
Thanks for your request. Is there a motion to
Yes,
approve?
I move to approve it.
Second.
Mr. Chair, I need to recuse myself from all 3 of these. I have a conflict with all 3.
Okay, Lipke and Kemp have moved. Thank you, Commissioner Ranto. Any discussion on the Buell Consulting?
Mr. Chair, John, wasn't there in the Schott family, didn't they want to put a tower up further north along Highway 22 a few years ago? Marie, was that built? That was never built?
That was never built.
But it was approved, I thought, by us. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
So
that.
this is a substitute to that.
Yes, this is a
Apparently.
different piece of property.
I'm seeing Ms. Landcamer is nodding and that is true.
Okay, and so this one is right on the corner of 111 and 22.
Correct, sir.
according to Star, so. Okay, right by historical New Sweden. Okay.
Aviation safety lights, that's all part of these,
Yeah,
correct?
correct,
So that
yes.
some airplane or helicopter
Yep.
doesn't blast them over?
Yes, FCC and FAA.
Okay,
They have to approve this too.
They have to meet the standards, yes.
so this meets the standards, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Any other questions to the motion on the Buell Consulting permit? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And 1 abstention, right? Or recusal. Second item.
Yes, the second item is the request of applicant Allison Bastian and property owner Michael Bastian for a conditional use permit to establish a swine feedlot in the Ag District. The site is located in West Newton Township. The feedlot will consist of 1 total confinement barn measuring 122 by 164 feet with an 8-foot deep underfloor liquid manure storage area. The project also includes an office area with shower facilities. The total number of animals will be 2,400 and the number of animal units will be 720. The proposal meets the county setbacks and standards. 1 public comment was received. Neighboring landowner Mark Burley commented that he was not opposed to the request. And then there was no public testimony at the hearing for this item. After due consideration, the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. And staff seeks a motion to approve the request with the attached findings of facts, sir.
You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I move.
Lipke, Kemp, discussion?
Mr. Chair, did these people get their permit also from the township?
Correct.
So they went through that process first?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions to the motion in front of the county board? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries.
The third item that I have for you is the request of applicant and property owner Herbert Chilman for a 3-year review of his conditional use permit for mineral extraction. This site is located in Traverse Township. The operation is an open pit mine where the applicant is allowed to mine, crush, and stockpile gravel. The original permit was issued by the county for the site in 1988. The applicant has a letter of credit in place to cover the 2 actively mined and not yet reclaimed acres. No public comments were received and there was no public testimony at the hearing. After due consideration, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Mr. Chair, staff seeks a motion to approve the request and the attached findings of fact, sir.
Thank you, John. Is there a motion to that effect?
Move it.
Commissioner Kemp has moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Lipke. Discussion on the motion. Tell me the acreage on this again. I'm just paging through and I forgot.
I believe it was 100 acres to begin with. There was 40 acres that were mined. 38 of those acres have been reclaimed. So there's 2 actively mined, not yet reclaimed. And then there's a potential for 60 more acres to be mined.
And so that would be gravel?
A gravel mine, yes, sir.
Is there any other future use for that?
A good portion of the property right now is agricultural.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in crop production. The portion that has been mined is kind of wildlife habitat right now. Not sure if it could be mined. It's pretty rough in there.
Yes, okay.
I don't think they've mined in the last 25 years.
No.
It's been a while, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's presently inactive, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, questions to the motion on the Chilman request? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries. John,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Do you have
Yes, sir.
anything else today?
No, sir, I
All
do
right,
not.
thanks. Approval of watershed implementation payments. Ms. Landcamer, you have a proposal for us today?
Yes, I'm requesting approval of 3 payments made to Houston Engineering for a total of $13,489. This is for the PTM app project that we currently have a grant through Bowser that'll expire at the end of this year. And so I'm just requesting the approval of the payments as per our grant agreement with Bowser.
You see the request on page 139 of your board meeting agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
Move it.
Commissioner Kemp has moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jack.
Commissioner Lipke, discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
Once we make these payments, then Bowser will reimburse us?
They are on a 50-40-10 split, so initially we get the first 50% of the grant. After we spend that, we're supposed to have a reconciliation by Bowser, and then they'll release the next 40%. And then once the grant agreement is completed, then they'll reimburse us the last 10%. So we're in that 40% reimbursement at this point.
And can you give us a layman's version of what Houston Engineering is actually doing?
They have reviewed all of the culverts and water crossing structures within the county with the help of the townships, and are taking that information and basically making a color-coded scale. So any areas that are coded red, which is the worst situation, is there's an indication of potential erosion, high water movement, something where a structure or some type of activity could go into place to help conserve and delay the erosion in that area. And then it goes down to a yellow, which is not as bad, and then to a green.
Can our highway engineer use this data?
Yes. Yep.
Anything else, Commissioner? All right, any other questions to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Manny, before you go, can I just bring you back to page 138? And maybe I should ask John, but you've been here longer. On the permit forms, the numbers that you have, the page long that you have put in there, how does that compare to previous years in your recollection of the permits that are being sought for various structures, et cetera?
It's a result of we got a new permit program, so the report that prints out is different.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably for this time of the year, it's consistent. There isn't a lot of activity. I think a couple of years ago we had a lot of activity in January for 4 houses because of some pending building code rules going into effect, but I'd say we're pretty consistent.
Okay, so there's been no noticeable change.
Not really.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Public Works. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. Several items from Public Works today. Before the meeting started, I handed out 2 updated board agenda item sheets for both these items, so please refer to those and not the ones in your packet. The first item is for the board to consider award of bids for 2018 bituminous materials. On Monday, we opened up 2 bids for this work. Basically what this work is for is a supply contract to supply our seal coat oils. In your packet there should be the list of the 2 bids and what they bid out on the CRS2 and the CSS1H. We structured the bidding documents that if it was financially advantageous for the county to split out where those materials are coming for, we had that right. And so we are recommending that we award the CRS2 bid to Miggs Paving Asphalts and Emulsions, and then the diluted CSS1H to Flint Hills Resources. The dollar amount for the supply of these materials is about $250,000.
Before we accept a motion on that, how did these prices compare to past bids?
We didn't bid out. We didn't do any seal coating last year. We did work the previous year. The CRS2 is about $100 more a ton. The fog seal oil is roughly the same price.
Can you give me a reason why that's happening?
Refineries are getting better and better of extracting every little bit of gasoline, kerosene, and diesel fuels out of the crude oil, which just leaves less asphalt material behind. So the supply is getting less and less, and therefore drives the price up.
I mean, when I saw these numbers, it felt a little bit higher, so that's kind of what we're left with, apparently. Chair will accept a motion to accept the bid.
So
As it is, Commissioner Drantle has moved. Is there a second? Is that you, Mr. Kemp?
It is.
Right. Discussion, further discussion on these
Mr. Chair,
items, Commissioner?
Seth, what is demurrage?
Oh, thank you.
They have a charge in there. I believe we put in the bid that there's no charges to be levied against us for the first 2 hours that truck sits there. If our process takes longer than 2 hours to drain that truck out of oil, then we will pay for Flint Hills Resources. There is no charge, but for Miggs Paving, for every hour over what we stipulated in the bidding documents, we'd pay $70 an hour for that truck to sit there.
So what is the definition of this word?
It's French.
Kinda like a penalty.
It's French?
I don't
for-
know the exact definition
I
of
hopped
demurrage.
out
It's
of
just the cost for the trucking company to recoup for that guy to sit there.
Wait time.
Yep.
It's real common with rail cars.
Any other comments, questions, Commissioners, on the motion that's before us on the asphalt materials?
So you think it's reasonable?
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries.
My second item for the board is to consider advertising for State Aid Project 052-610-015. This project would be a full reconstruction of County Road 10 from our County Road 1 to the North County line. That's an approximately a 1-mile project in length. We'd be anticipating to start construction midsummer and finish up by early fall. You have an updated agenda item for this because we're requesting to delay our bid opening by 2 weeks. There's a little bit more work to do on this project, so we need a couple more weeks to complete that. And I updated the overall estimated cost for the project. The old estimated cost in your packet was an old estimate, and it did not include the rehabilitation costs for the concrete bridge that is on County Road 10. So, asking the board today to authorize advertising for this project and set a bid opening date and time of May 1st, 2018 at 11 o'clock a.m. At our Nicollet County Public Works office.
You've heard the request. Is there a motion to that effect?
I so move.
Second.
Commissioner Lipke and Kemp, any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Chair. $640,000 more from the old estimate to the new estimate. And how do you explain that difference?
The old estimate did not have any rehabilitation costs for the concrete bridge that crosses the county ditch.
So $600,000 for,
It won't be all 600,000 into the bridge. Some of that will be bridge. Others is just updating unit prices for concrete, aggregate base, and whatnot. Because the 1.2 million was based off of estimates probably 3 or 4 years ago.
and what do you have to do to the bridge?
We are going to be taking off the old bituminous surface, and then this bridge has a deck. It's called a quad T deck type of bridge. There are joints between those deck panels. Some of them are leaking, so we have to take out the old joint material, rehab those, and then it'll get a brand new concrete overlay placed on the deck along with concrete approach panels coming into the bridge.
What's the length of the bridge under, the span?
Oh boy, you're getting down right into the nitty gritty details.
Well,
It's probably 80 to 100 feet long.
It is that long?
Yep.
Is there a center support on the ditch?
I believe this one has no center support. It's a clear span.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Nope.
Question, Jack, how many bids do you usually get back on a thing like that?
It really varies. It really varies. Anywhere from 2 to 8, probably.
Okay.
Oh, I do have another follow-up question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner, go ahead.
This bridge is just because it's somewhat deteriorating underneath, and that's why you have to put a whole new surface on top and with your repairs.
Well, the deck, the main support for the deck is concrete quad T beams.
And it's
they're in very good shape. There's a bituminous wearing surface that's put over that. That's deteriorating. We're going to take that off and replace it with concrete because the whole road's going to be concrete. We wouldn't want to replace just the bituminous just on the bridge and have concrete come up to it.
Okay. And what's the thickness of the concrete on the bridge?
It varies across the deck, but somewhere between 4.5 and 5 inches.
Oh. So
With
even for-
rebar and all that good stuff.
So even for a 10-ton road, that's okay?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Another question that just brings up bridges that are deteriorating in Nicollet County, as far as, are there, you always check and examine these bridges and stuff. They're like, what's the bridge that's in the worst condition that's on a county road?
We currently do not have any bridges on our deficient list as of right now. That may change when we get back the last inspection data and when they compile those numbers that we had sent in. There may be a box culvert on County Road 21 that might slip into that deficient range. Doesn't mean it's not safe or anything like that. It just puts it at a number to where now it would be eligible for replacement. But overall, our structures in Nicollet County are very well. We're probably one of the very few counties in the entire state that doesn't have a big backlog of deficient structures needing replacement.
Another reason not to have a 0.5% sales tax, Jack.
And these structures are placed on a routine inspection cycle depending, and that cycle depends on the age of the bridge, the condition of the bridge. Our brand new culverts that we put in, the big box culverts, when they're brand new and in good shape, they can go on a 4-year inspection cycle. Bridges that are a little bit more deteriorated, they may drop down to a 2-year to even a 1-year. And if they're something very critical that you got to be looking at on a routine basis, that you may be inspecting that bridge every every 6 months. And the requirement for inspection of these structures is federally mandated. And so MnDOT has to report back to the feds every year on all the bridge structures in the state of Minnesota. And then there's metrics that you have to meet to be in compliance.
Now, the number of bridges that cross the Minnesota River from Nicollet County into Le Sueur and Brown and Blue Earth, there's some that are county bridges that we share with the other counties, and there's some just state. Are you aware of any of those bridges that are in need of repair?
Not at this time. The last one that we did any repair on with a joint county and actually the city, it was the city of New Ulm, where we rehabbed the concrete deck on County Road 37 going into New Ulm and placed some riprap around the abutments and piers.
Okay.
But otherwise, our structures are in good shape.
Good.
With our adjoining neighbors. We don't have any with Le Sueur County.
Yeah, we don't. It's just, but I mentioned Blue Earth.
Blue Earth.
But I know that the state has bridges in the other 3 counties, so I'm just,
Yep.
you know, as far as you know, nothing with the state bridges are.
No, I do know that at some point the bridges on Highway 14 that cross the Minnesota River, probably within the next 10, 12 years, they'll be looking at some type of large rehab project on those bridges, primarily redecking of those structures.
In Mankato you're talking?
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, 99 Bridge now is great. I'm
Yep.
so glad that they preserved that historic bridge, and it's going to be a safe bridge for many years to come now. Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
No? Okay.
Can I, just to refocus us, could we hear what the motion was again from?
Motion by Commissioner Lipke, seconded by Commissioner Kemp, to authorize advertising and set the opening date of May 1st.
All right. In case any of us forgot during the questioning. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Do you have anything else for us today?
No, but I'm just going to sit right here because when you convene the Drainage Authority, I have an item.
Chair is recessing the board meeting and calling the Drainage Authority meeting to order. We have one item for the approval of the consent agenda. 2 items, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Consent.
Do you have 2 items there, right?
Yeah.
The approval of the Drainage Authority and consideration of resolution reappointing the drainage inspector. Is there a
Well,
motion to
that's-
that effect?
The consent agenda only has one item.
I was wrong.
Consent agenda number 1A. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Drantle, Commissioner Stenson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Number 2, resolution reappointing Drainage Authority, Drainage Inspector. You have those materials in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Drantle, Commissioner Lipke. This will be, I would guess, the young man with the beard, right?
Nate.
And the plaid shirt?
And who's not here today. Yes. Any questions on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. I would encourage board members to say aye if they believe in the motion. So, do we have ayes on this side?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear you. And you were quiet for once.
Aye.
Go
Yes,
back
Jack.
to the regular board meeting if we could. Thank you, Seth, for your time today. Administration, good morning, Mr. Rush.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My one item was removed from the agenda, but Commissioner Stenson asked that we add a discussion on T21 tobacco ordinances being discussed in our cities. There was, at the city council meeting last night in St. Peter, a discussion on that, and I believe they approved to go forward with implementing an ordinance adopting 21 as the minimum age in St. Peter to purchase tobacco. So Commissioner Stenson, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yes, the city council had been considering the tobacco 21, which basically says that anybody under the age of 21 who is not be able to buy purchase tobacco products within the city limits of St. Peter. And so last night, as the Mankato paper reports, besides that, there's a nice picture of the sun on the front page. I'm not a big advocate of the free press, but anyway, it's a free press. And, Jack, the thing is, the program manager for the American Lung Association told the council, "I urge you not to wait for Mankato. Take action by setting a high standard for health. Be an island. Be an awesome island that puts youth first." And I just think that, knowing that North Mankato and Mankato have been talking about that, they are two, and North Mankato and St. Peter are very important cities to Nicollet County. And I think that we should take this issue up at a workshop and see if we can come up with a resolution to change our ordinance as well, to support both the cities and the youth in all of Nicollet County, to have Nicollet County be an island, to support T21. And of course, we know that there is some movement in the state, at the state level, as well as other communities. And I think if we could do this, this would give more impetus to the state overall to move in this direction. We have, I think, four or five. Four.
Yeah, I emailed Jackie here, Mr.
Yeah.
Commissioner. It's the Cortland Mart, Dave's Place in Lafayette, the gas station in Lafayette, and Nicollet Mart. And those are all in our 3 small cities, and I believe they chose to not issue tobacco licenses, so then it defaults back to the county.
That would have been quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've been issuing them for a long time.
But I think if we change it or don't, if they ever elect to do it on their own, I think they can take it back, right?
Yeah, okay. But I just think that we should support this effort. It's clearly indicated that if youth start smoking at an early age, then they're likely to be long-time smokers. Now, this is not going to prevent youth from smoking cigarettes. They can have their friends buy it. They can pick it up somewhere else. They can go across the county line and buy it. That's a situation. But it's the message that we would be giving to the community as a whole, that we believe, for the sake of our youth and for health for our citizens, we've taken an oath about the welfare and the health of our community as a county, and this is one simple way to do it. We don't have to worry about necessarily enforcement. It's a message that's being sent out there. And when the police and the sheriff do go and make a check with respect to, are they selling tobacco products to under age 18 or liquor products, to underage people, they will this would be the enforcement action that would be taken. But it would certainly give strength to the council in North Mankato and Mankato to go ahead with the T21. So
Why don't you just make the motion to do that?
No, I can't, because we were told earlier that you can't make a motion without a prior putting it on the agenda before. I was accused of doing that one time, and we can't do that. I'm just saying that we should talk about it and prepare something for maybe our next meeting. We should just have a more of an open discussion rather than at this board meeting at our workshop.
Okay. So, you've heard what the Commissioner is
Put it in
talking
next
about.
board meeting agenda?
When is our next workshop? Would we do that next Tuesday?
Next week we can do that.
Is that the day that library is gonna be in for their 20-minute presentation,
I think so.
TDS?
Yeah, I believe
So we
that's-
might have a full agenda, I don't know if,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not sure where the agenda's at, but
Yeah.
we'll add this.
All
I
right.
believe we'll have time.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Commissioner, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, Ryan reminded me again, we've got a smoke-free campus, but it's not as if we've got police and security people walking around to make sure people don't smoke on our campus. It's a message to our employees that we're not supposed to smoke in our buildings or on our campus.
Well,
And
some
this
of
is
us tell
another-
them not to.
Well, okay, yeah, I agree. There are, just like I go looking around for tabs that aren't current
Oh,
on
well,
license
I
plates.
just tell the people to
and
put their
then tell them.
cigarettes out, so.
Yeah.
So your message is a health concern.
Oh,
Right.
definitely, and try to change the culture. Yeah.
What's the culture of 18 to 21-year-old gun owners in
Well,
Nicollet
that's
County?
another issue. If we wanna talk about that, we could
I mean,
pass some
just,
kind of an ordinance.
it might be something that we want to discuss. There's a
Yeah.
lot of issues, you know, that are perplexing the nation at this time, so.
But let's take advantage of the ones that are on the front page of the paper and continue to move on that.
So
because-
smoking and guns, is that what you're
No.
suggesting?
Smoking guns.
Well, there is something about the front page of the paper here about legislature and its GOP. Okay.
All right, so it'll be added to the next, at the earliest convenience to discuss T21. I think we had one of our county health nurses who just retired, she
Very passionate.
talked
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Public Health Director Mary Hildebrand has been attending the meeting. She was at the meeting last night as well, so.
Right, okay. Anything else under informational items? I
Yeah,
don't
there-
remember any. Ryan, do you have any other reports for the board at this time?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Chair's report, several of us attended the AMC Legislative Conference last week in St. Paul. Several of us attended the safety training meetings, and Seth and I had an ATP meeting last Friday in Mankato. Commissioner Stenson?
I had a lot of tax appointments, but I did attend, along with Marie. We went to the Tri-County Solid Waste that was met here, and we had a good meeting with Director Al Christensen, and staff was well attended. And we're moving along with our collections and our educational efforts and talking more about ag bags, et cetera. So that was a good meeting.
Can I add to that, Mr. Commissioner Stenson? 2 weeks from now, we'll be having on the agenda an extension of our agreement with Blue Earth County Household
yeah.
Hazardous Waste. Was there any changes there on that? It's the same agreement?
It's basically the same. There was, they have made some minor changes to the agreement, and I believe that our attorney's office is gonna look at those changes. I did sign, as chair, I did sign the agreement in anticipation that it would be approved.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Commissioner Drantle?
Commissioner Stenson covered my Tri-County Solid Waste meeting, and other than that, I have nothing to add.
Thank you very much.
Annual township meetings are this evening.
Yes, that's true.
Summer this afternoon.
Oh, summer this afternoon, okay.
All right, Commissioner Lipke?
Yeah, I was at the AMC Legislative with Jack, and actually wound up going back to the Capitol a couple days later for another one of my interests. I went to the safety training along with Jack and Denny. I went to the Water Festival. I think I was the only commissioner there. They said I got brownie points for that. Was very active in the farm show this past weekend in New Ulm, and went to the Soil and Water Conservation meeting on Wednesday. Sat around there for 45 minutes and they couldn't get a quorum, so we're rescheduled for tomorrow.
Very good, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kemp?
I was able to attend the safety training along with my fellow commissioners. Also, I attended the Mental Health Advisory Council meeting last week. And prior to that, any of the other assigned items I wasn't able to attend because I was on vacation. And Mazatlan wasn't real conducive to getting to some of those.
Well, welcome back. I'm
Thank you.
glad you had a good trip. Ms. Attorney, do you have anything to report from the Attorney's office?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anything from Jamie? Anything? Would you like to report? Okay. You want to talk to us about your Florida trip, or just say, that's okay? Okay. What happened in Florida? Yeah, right.
She went with her parents and sisters, so.
Well, that's always a nice trip. Commissioner committee reports, anything else that we have to do? Any approval of commissioner meetings? Ryan?
Yeah, just a couple items there. The leadership conference, if you're
Have to go.
interested in attending, sign up or have Lynette sign you up for
Okay.
that. And then a reminder, we have our comprehensive plan kickoff meeting tomorrow in here. Mandy, is that 1 or 1:30? 1:30. It is 1:30, okay. That's what you sent out on your email. We originally had 1, but.
Yeah, the agenda came as 1:30, so I just followed.
Okay, so 1:30.
All right,
here
very
tomorrow.
good. And we encourage commissioners to attend, right? Yes.
Correct.
Anything else on that?
No.
The chair will seek a motion to approve per diems and expenses.
Move it.
Commissioner Kemp, Commissioner Lipke. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, carries. Thank you. And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you had said that we would have, announce again public appearances.
I'm sorry, yes. I forgot about that. Are there any other public appearances? Anyone else want to appear before the county board today before we adjourn today's meeting? Please come forward. What's your name and address, please?
I'm Lynn Fliggy, 41460 551st Avenue. I was just, I was in communication with Chuck Brando. The way it sounds, he's about 90% done with ditch 86A. And my only question is, he says, all we need is the viewer's report to set the final hearing. Any idea, if any of you know, where the viewer's report is?
Mr. Chair, that'd be Jackie could respond to that. Jackie, could you come up?
Jackie, would you like to come forward just so the we could everyone could hear it, please? Thank you very much. I know how shy you are on camera.
The viewer's report is the part of the final engineer's report that we hired viewers for the redetermination of the new benefits after the improvement is finished. And so that was Ron Winkrist and his group, and so he has not submitted his work yet.
Do you have a timeline?
I don't. I have not been in contact with him. Generally, between the preliminary and the final, there is quite a timeline or a time period, and so I can certainly follow up with Ron to see where he's at with working on his redetermination numbers, his
Mr.
benefit
Chair,
numbers.
Maybe Jackie could give us a report at our workshop next Tuesday about the status of that,
Okay, or I can just shoot an email out to.
or do that
yeah.
too.
Mr.
That
Fliggy,
it
would you
should
like Jackie to be in touch with you if she learns any more?
Yes, I would appreciate that, because, you know, we're getting into the spring planting time. And if we don't get it done next week or next month, then the farmers are gonna be in the field again, so. I guess I just wanna make sure that we're progressing, and not that Chuck has his, stuff done, and then we wait another 2 months for the viewers to get this done. Let's follow up so that we can continue on this process.
You know, and I'm pretty sure that they're aware of what happens in the fields, and so they would make every effort, I'm guessing, to meet those.
Just a little bit of the timeline, I would think it would be highly unlikely that we would have a final meeting within the next month, because we do have to publish for 3 times.
true.
We have to, I have not gotten the DNR's report as well. That also needs to come in. The viewer's report and the final, and I haven't received the final engineer's report. So there's about 6 things that are still in the works. And so even once they are all submitted, by the time I bring it to board to set the date, publication for 3 weeks prior to, you know, it still bumps it out. So I don't see it all happening within the next month.
All right. Thank you. Any other public appearances today? Hearing and seeing none, thank you very much. We are adjourned until our work session next Tuesday.